This is the ALLDOCUBE Ultra Pad, ALLDOCUBE's new entry into the large screen tablet arena. At 13 inches, it's their biggest display yet, paired with one of the largest batteries ever seen in a tablet at a massive 15,000 mAh, plus the powerful Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3 chipset. As always, here on Typical Tech Lad, I'm putting every aspect of this tablet to the test, and we'll also be checking out the Stylus pen along with the smart cover. So let's see tech for what it is and kick things off with a quick unboxing. Starting off with the Ultra Pad, slide the lid off here, and first thing is the Ultra Pad itself. Slide that out of the sleeve, power it up and put that to the side for now. We get a quick start guide in various languages, an SD card tray ejecting pin, a 33-watt charging brick, though it is 2-pin and has a USB-C out, and finally a USB-C to USB-C charging cable. Moving on to the Stylus pen, we get a quick start guide, and then the Stylus itself comes in this two-tone white and grey colorway. We have two function buttons along with the charging status light. There's a flat side here too, which is for the magnetic attachment to the Ultra Pad itself, and then up top here you can pop the end out, which reveals the USB-C port to charge it up. Other specs here would be 4096 level pressure sensitivity, and 1 hour charge equates to up to 80 hours of use. Let's have a quick look at the smart cover. It has a folio design with folding panels on one side. I'm not sure of the materials used here, but it has a nice soft finish, but damn, it's picking up fingerprints quickly. On the back we have the ALLDOCUBE branding and a camera cutout. Pop the Ultra Pad into it and it attaches magnetically, and the smart aspect here would be the auto lock and screen waking when lifting and closing the cover. And as with folio cases, you can fold them to get it standing in a more upright position, or fold it the other way and have a more flat, relaxed position. And we have this stretchy loop up here, another place to hold the stylus if you wanted something a bit more secure rather than the magnetic attachment. But let's peel off the pre-installed screen protector and jump into the design and build of the Ultra Pad. Up front of the Ultra Pad, we have a 13-inch LCD IPS display with uniform, reasonably slim bezels all around. And then up top, we have the power/lock button, volume buttons, two microphones, and the SD card tray. Always good to see expandable storage on devices nowadays. To the right, we have two speaker grills. The Ultra Pad has 8 speakers in total. And then we have the USB Type-C 3.1 Gen 2 port in the middle. Around the bottom is the pogo connectors and magnets for the keyboard, which can be purchased separately. And then to the left are two more speaker grills. Up front, we have the 5-megapixel front-facing camera built into the bezel, and then turning to the back we have the grey colorway. Seems to be a very popular color with tablets. We have an all-metal unibody casing, so it feels nice and premium in the hands. There's an ALLDOCUBE logo on the left here, and the camera module housing a 13-megapixel lens along with an LED flashlight and another microphone. And to the bottom of the device is the ALLDOCUBE text along with powered by DTS for the sound. It is a bit on the more thicker side of tablets that I've reviewed, but that's down to the massive 15,000 mAh battery most likely, which is a justified trade-off in my opinion. Other specs here would be that the Ultra Pad supports Bluetooth 5.4, Wi-Fi 6, and supports gravity, light, and Hall sensors. The camera module doesn't actually protrude that much from the tablet, so if you use devices laying flat on a table, then there is hardly any rocking here. Maybe the teeny tiniest bit up on the top right, but overall solid design and build of the Ultra Pad. Let's check out the display now. So the display here is a 13-inch 2.8K IPS panel with a PPI of 264, so reasonably sharp. We have up to 144Hz refresh rate and in-cell full lamination. Quick look in the display settings, and we have light and dark mode. Brightness here tops out at 700 nits, so not bad. Even if stronger lighting conditions outdoors, it holds up well enough, though it does look a bit washed out. We have a night light which you can schedule and also adjust the temperature of with the slider, and then an option to switch to black and white display if you like. For color mode, we only get temperature adjustment from cold, default, or warm, and then refresh rate starting off at 60 Hz. Then you have 120 Hz and the highest at 144 Hz, which is super smooth. And then some screen on and off options with double tap to wake, lift to wake, and double tap to turn off screen as well. When it comes to streaming content, YouTube playback goes up to 4K at 60 frames per second, and the Ultra Pad handles that smoothly without stutter or any dropped frames. The display itself is good. It's not aiming for the absolute top tier like you'd find on like flagship tablets, but for the price point, it holds up well. Visuals look sharp, text is crisp enough for reading, and colors come through with solid accuracy and decent vibrancy. It's not an overly punchy or oversaturated panel, but rather one that leans towards a more natural tone, which actually works well for long viewing sessions. DRM info check shows us the Ultra Pad is level 1 certified, so that'll be full HD for your streaming platforms. Though on Netflix, the tablet is limited to Wide 1 level 3 certification, which means you only get standard definition playback instead of the full HD or higher quality you'd get with level 1 support. So you're not going to see that ultra crisp detail when streaming Netflix shows or movies. That said, for casual viewing, it's still perfectly serviceable, and honestly, unless you're sitting side by side with a device that has L1 certification, most people probably won't notice the drop in the sharpness all that much. Thanks to the USB 3.1 Gen 2 port, the Ultra Pad does support display output, so you can connect it directly to an external monitor. Functionality is limited to mirroring only. There's no option to extend the display, which would have been a welcome addition for productivity. For mirroring, it works well. Connection is responsive with little to no noticeable lag. The only drawback is that you'll see black bars on the sides as the output seems to be locked to a certain resolution. Even so, if you just want a straightforward and seamless way to mirror content onto a bigger screen, it gets the job done. When it comes to speakers, as I mentioned earlier, we have 8 speakers here in total on the Ultra Pad, so we're expecting some good sound here. There's not much in the way of adjustments in the sound setting itself, but rather this is in the dedicated DTS audio tuning app, and here you can pick from music, movie and game modes, and then you have the option on each to adjust the stereo sound from wide, in front or traditional. We'll have a listen to the speakers. Warning, the upcoming volume will be quite loud.
I went to Phoebe instead of Titan.
What kind of reason? You mean like, dear Crazy 8, hey, listen, if I let you go, will you promise not to come back and waste my entire family? No Colombian neckties? You mean that kind of reason?
Overall, I think the speakers on here are actually quite good, especially for a tablet in this price range. They get nice and loud without distorting too much. Built-in DTS tuning, you have a few sound profiles to play with. I personally preferred the traditional setting as it felt the most balanced, but having that flexibility to tweak the sound is a nice touch. There's even a hypno bass response, which adds a bit of weight to the music and video playback, and the soundstage has decent depth, giving you a slightly more immersive experience. For streaming, gaming and general media consumption, these speakers should leave most people pretty satisfied. Now for the Stylus, we have text box writing support, so you can write and it'll convert to text, and you have your features like scribble words to delete, circle to select and more. Testing out the Stylus, I have my usual Stylus testing PDF document here, and starting off by writing on lines. No problem there, seems nice and fluid enough. Not the absolute best I've experienced, but still quite good. Underlining, circling and highlighting small text is pretty straightforward, and so his ticky boxes, so filling out forms on here will work just fine. Latency of the pen isn't actually that bad, as you can see the line trailing only a little bit behind the tip of the pen in this slowdown footage. Real world use, you barely notice it. Pressure sensitivity works well, as light strokes draw this pencil very lightly, and as I press harder it draws the line darker and thicker. For more creative tasks like sketching, the Ultra Pad is okay. I'd say it's not the most advanced setup out there, but it does offer decent pressure sensitivity, so you can get some variation in line weight and detail. I did try shading by tilting the Stylus, which didn't really work out that well. We do get palm rejection here. I'm not an artist myself, but even so, I was able to put together a half decent drawing without much trouble. It's not going to replace a professional drawing tablet, but for casual sketching, doodling, note taking or jotting down ideas, it's more than usable. So when it comes to performance, here we have the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3 chipset, so not top tier but still quite powerful. You get 12GB RAM along with up to an additional 12GB of virtual RAM, which can be adjusted from 0GB, 6 or 12 at the max, and 250GB storage, which is obviously expandable. It's running on Android 15 with ALLDOCUBE AI OS skin on top. No word on OS updates or security patches. Settings wise, in connection and sharing, we get the usual Wi-Fi hotspot, VPS and private DNS. Wallpaper and personalization will let you adjust display size and text, along with various wallpapers, different themes you can pick from. Let's try this Hong one, not bad. For device unlock, we only have screen lock here, unfortunately, so no face or fingerprint reader. Then you have the voice assistant, which can handle multiple tasks and commands, and you get this kind of rundown of its capabilities. And testing it out works well, picking up my voice and executing the commands quickly too. Open Chrome. Turn Bluetooth off.
Okay, I turned off the Bluetooth for you.
AI screen recognition lets you press the screen with 2 fingers and it will recognize and pull out all text which you can then copy and use in notes or wherever you need. So nice and handy to have that. You have a smart sidebar which you evoke by pulling in from the edge of the screen. Allows you to jump into apps as floating windows, and you can have multiple floating windows like this. If you want to push productivity and work on multiple at one time, then that's really useful. And there are various other features such as super screenshot, and we also have a game performance mode along with wireless projection over Wi-Fi. Generally, using the tablet, things are nice and snappy here with the 7 Plus Gen 3, handling daily tasks easily. Apps open nice and snappy, web browsing works well, so rest assured that you have plenty of power to get the day-to-day done with barely any load times and fast and snappy performance overall. The user interface itself is okay, not the most slickest or fancy, but it's nice and simple and gets the job done. Control panel has long press features with cards to adjust settings, and notification center is a familiar affair, so it's not the most exciting skin out there, but as I said, it's functional and works. You have neat shortcuts like swiping down with 2 fingers to jump into split screen, and works absolutely fine. And then we have a handy desktop mode built in, which transforms the interface into a more traditional PC-like layout. If you prefer that kind of setup for work, you'll appreciate this feature. All your apps are laid out on the main screen and you can double click to open them. You have the ability to create folders if you need. Floating windows are supported as well, making multitasking much easier. The control panels sit conveniently in the bottom right corner for quick access to settings. Overall, I actually enjoy using this mode for productivity as it makes the Ultra Pad feel more like a mini laptop and helps you get things done more efficiently. Quick look at external storage functionality, and video playback with one of my 4K projects runs and scrubs through with no issues and no lag that I could see. Same thing with this 4K drone footage too, playing back absolutely fine and no lag. And as I usually do, I'll transfer this 1.74GB file over to the tablet to test the transfer time, and doing that took around 30 seconds to do, so nice and fast transfer speeds there. And then that same file I transferred over, I've loaded into CapCut, which is a 4K video around 4.5 minutes long. Scrubbing through it, nice and snappy with no lag that I could see, and I'll add some transitions and some text to give it a quick edit. Exporting it at 4K 30 FPS recommended bitrate, and that ended up taking 2 minutes and 19 seconds. So although not the fastest performance there, it's still reasonable. Just gives you an idea of working with 4K footage on the Ultra Pad, and if you want to be using it for like editing videos and stuff like that. Let's check out some gaming on the Ultra Pad. I'll start off by connecting my PS5 controller. Battery starting off is at 68%. In game mode, I've set it to performance. I'll bring the volume down here a little and the brightness is set to around 90%. Starting temperature is 33 degrees Celsius. First game is COD Mobile, and here we have very high graphic quality and also ultra frame rate, but that will switch the graphics to medium. We'll start off with the very high graphics and I'll turn on all the other settings including super resolution. We'll start off with a multiplayer game, and straight off the bat, game looks really nice graphics wise, and it is running super smooth, no lags or hitches anyway, and I was kind of expecting that considering the solid performance of the 7 Plus Gen 3. 10 minutes and still all good. Temperature is creeping up as expected, now at 39 degrees. Let's switch over to ultra frame rate, and I'll do the same setting for Battle Royale mode as well, which we'll check out in a little while. And with ultra frame rate, the game is now running a lot smoother than before. I'd guess it's hitting at least 90 to 100 FPS here. Super fluid and smooth gameplay, and the same applies for Battle Royale, getting really nice super smooth gameplay here too. COD Mobile is a very well optimized game across most platforms, so it tends to run quite good on most devices. 17 minutes in and a quick temperature check. On the on-device monitor is stating 41 degrees, and using my thermal gun, it picked up a max of 42 degrees around the middle top of the device. Next up is Roblox, and I'll max out the graphic quality here, and in this Driving Empire game we also have additional graphics which I have set to the highest too, and with those settings we're getting really good graphic quality with nice textures, and gameplay is running nice and smooth, no lag anywhere that I noticed. So no matter which game you're playing here on Roblox, you'll have solid performance across all of them. Nice graphics, nice and smooth frame rate across the board, so quite a joy to be able to play Roblox with high graphic quality. For Wuthering Waves, I'll max it out to the quality preset and then target 60 FPS for the frame rate, and with those settings the game looks really good. This game just generally is amazing graphics as long as the chipset can handle it, and even in intense gameplay there's no lag or frame rate drops that I could discern. So again, game is running nice and smooth. 42 minutes in and still running nice and smooth, so clearly so far the Ultra Pad is handling these games with no problem. Temperature wise, it has warmed up quite a bit as expected, pushing it with demanding graphics. On device stating 47 degrees, and my gun is picking up a peak of around 48 degrees, so It is quite warm and you can definitely feel that in your hands around the back as well. And battery now is at 47% after 42 minutes. Quick look at GTA San Andreas. Always have to test this game out, and with resolution maxed out, again, game looks really good graphically, running no problem, nice and smooth. I feel like I've said nice and smooth about 50 times, but yeah, no problems here. Solid gameplay and overall just a nice looking game and a joy to be playing. Fallout 84, we get Ultimate as the highest graphic quality and 60 FPS for frame rate. And again, this is a similar theme we're getting into. Great graphics on this game. Gameplay is nice and solid. I picked this character here. I don't know why this guy wearing this suit, but anyway, fun game. Check it out if you haven't. Fallout 84 is really good and enjoyable game to play. On PUBG, Ultra HDR is the highest available for graphics along with ultra frame rate, and on those settings, graphics in the game look really good. Nice textures all around, rendering quite fast, not a problem there. And the game, as I said, and I keep saying, running nice and smooth. I'd guess it is hitting the 40 FPS cap, which is on the ultra frame rate, I believe. I did want to check out gameplay with the ultra extreme frame rate, I think it's called, which usually becomes available when you select super smooth, but that wasn't the case here. Didn't give me that option, so not sure why that is. But with extreme frame rate, which caps out at 60 FPS, I believe, running nice and smooth as well. I can tell obviously there's a bit more smoothness than before, so probably has picked up those frame rates. But I think we get the gist here. Gameplay on here is not going to be a problem, even when it comes to demanding high quality graphics. Yes, it will warm up a bit, but it's not hitting anything crazy which can cause thermal throttling in some cases. So overall for gaming, a solid experience. And finishing off, the thermal gun is picking up 36 degrees, so cool down quite a bit. We finish off with battery on 40%, so a total loss of 28% there with an hour of heavy gameplay. So the battery on the Ultra Pad has to be one of the largest for normal tablets, excluding rugged and other ones, coming in at a huge 15,000 milliamp hours that supports 33 watt fast charging. So you're talking up to 6 days of music, 14 plus hours of video playback, and potentially 16 hours of screen on time, as claimed by ALLDOCUBE themselves. In the battery settings, you get a large battery remaining meter. Battery usage shows a graph of usage along with screen on time, and then, you know, the usual usage by apps or by systems. And then you have battery saver, which will enable dark mode and such. And then you have battery manager. Would it be nice to have some charging optimization here, like setting the charge limit to 80%, but this is all we get. Battery performance for me was actually quite good. Yes, if you're pushing things here with heavy gaming or just generally heavy tasks, it will drain fast, but for normal daily use, you could easily get 2 or 3 days out of this. The 15,000 milliamp hour cell definitely prolongs that use, but as with all battery use, it largely depends on what you're actually doing. But generally, you could get away with quite long usage sessions on this battery, so you won't really be concerned there. If you're into the tablet cameras, Ultra Pad has 30 megapixel rear camera and a 5 megapixel front facing camera. For modes, we have video, photo and pro mode, which has additional controls. In the settings, we have face detection and picture format options. For video, max is 4K with no FPS option, so I'm assuming that's 30 FPS. Then we have noise reduction, video encoder options and a few more generic settings. In video, you can zoom in up to 8x and you have some filters you can pick from, and then option to turn on the flashlight, and pretty much the same thing for photo mode. So quite basic setup here, but we'll have a quick look at some captures. And for the front facing camera, max there is 1080p. Recording at 4K. Check out the zoom. Little doves up here. So to wrap things up, the Ultra Pad makes a strong case if you're after a feature-packed tablet without going flagship level in price. Its Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3 chipset delivers solid performance, gaming is smooth, multitasking feels snappy, and it handles day-to-day demands with ease. The speakers are genuinely good, loud, rich, with enough bass to make media consumption enjoyable. Battery life is okay. While the 15,000 mAh cell sounds massive, in practice you'll comfortably get through a full day, and with light to medium use you might stretch it into even 2 or 3 days. On the flip side, cameras remain very basic, nothing to write home about. That's not surprising, it is a tablet. Software is clean and polished, though with some useful AI features built in, and the desktop mode is definite plus if you want to be more productive. Anyway, that's my review of the Ultra Pad. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, then make sure you do that too, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.